In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight, and sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Krause. Cash, how are you doing this fine day?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good. It's kind of a historic day for Foreign Film Friday.
It is, as we take on a different film from a different country that we have yet to do on this podcast.
Surprisingly, yeah. We are traveling east. Very far east.
Very far.
Like really far. Like around here.
Yeah, right.
Like if your globe's here,
I know.
and then you're here.
Yes.
And I'm going around this way.
Okay. You're going to take the
And then
long
this
way.
Most people go Alaska
Right?
up.
Yeah.
Not
For
me.
Okay.
I like go scenic route over Africa, China, all those places.
I think that's probably the best way
So I
to do
land
it.
directly in Siberia.
Oh, wow.
Which is
it's cold
which
there.
is my
I've heard.
favorite part of Russia. It's beautiful. Beautiful area.
Been there a few times. Big Russian fan, aren't you?
Yeah, we are traveling back to the motherland.
We are the motherland.
The Eastern Bloc this week for a science fiction horror film titled Sputnik. Sputnik. Absolutely. Actually, it has nothing to do with Sputnik.
No, it does not.
Which I thought was a little surprising.
It was kind of a
I thought that
curveball.
maybe we would see the satellite or something.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
But I was pleasantly surprised because this week, I was kind of down because we kind of picked movies at the last second. There's nothing really coming out.
I know. It's getting harder and harder to find.
So we
new
picked out a
things.
couple, but man, I am so happy with our picks this week.
Yes.
I'm so happy. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
this.
I saw this trailer for this film, and I was like, "There's no way we don't review this. This looks great.
Yeah.
And it just looks like an awesome science fiction horror film. I was really excited to review it, and I gotta say, overall, very, very satisfied with this film.
Yeah, I feel like if Japan is known for horror, Korea kind of those action, bloody kind of beat 'em ups.
Yep.
Then Russia science fiction horror should be Russia's.
I like it.
Their
Their
go-to
MO,
because
yeah.
they feel it's done. It's perfect. It's just set up the whole communist era. It's perfect for that
It
kind
is.
of the whole secrecy and all that. It's a perfect backdrop for this kind of film.
It was, and it was just for this film, for me personally, as just a movie watch, it was perfectly paced.
Yes,
The entire time. It was such. I almost am hesitant calling it a slow burn because it seemed like it built upon, like the building blocks. It built to 2 to 3 to 4 very well. And the pacing was so well done throughout this whole thing. And just overall, I was just so surprised and happy with this movie.
It is. It's like Alien, not Aliens, but it's like Alien, where it's a real. I mean, it's not an action film.
No.
It's a sci-fi horror
horror,
for sure.
absolutely.
It's not like an action film, although there is some very cool action sequences.
There are.
But like you said, there's an alien involved, but we're not seeing a whole lot of that alien. But when we do see it, it looks great. For this lower budget, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
The CGI alien looked fucking amazing.
They made
dude.
this film for $2.6 million US.
That
That's
blows
it.
my mind.
Because that alien looked
I did not know
incredible
that.
for
I did
$2.5
not know
million.
that. The alien and the blood and everything looks. I can't. That blows my mind.
Isn't that wild? I would have figured a 25 at least.
Your dollar goes a little further in Russia.
I think so. I think if you're paying people,
Because I feel like
pennies on
you'd
the
be
dollar.
paying fucking man. I feel like you're paying probably $2.6 million just to the special effects crew on this.
Well, and that's the most surprising thing is that alien looked so good.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And for
to
being
know
all
the
CGI, it looked really good. Yeah, man. I was so pleasantly surprised with this movie.
And not only that, I mean, we're not obviously this is our first Russian film we've ever reviewed, so we don't know much about Russia. But what we do know is this was Igor Abramenko, which is the director of this film. This was his directorial debut.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good start, Igor.
A very good
You
start.
have the most Russian name in the world,
Igor's
Igor
pretty
Abramenko.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a very. I didn't know that either, man. What a great
Doesn't
start.
that blow your mind?
Because watching this, I felt like, oh my god, this is a seasoned director. Because I feel like
Totally
he's
agree.
done this before. I really hope this is kind of his his mainstay is these sci-fi
Sci-fi
horror. 'Cause we don't get enough of that sci-fi horror anymore.
We really
And
don't.
It's rarely done good enough. Like that one. What was that one? The underwater one with K-Stew. I think it's underwater.
Underwater. I think that's literally the name of the film.
Lamest. Yeah, there are always films like that to where, like, you know, they look all right, but they're never really good. They're never really good. This has a really good story.
It does.
And a story that you're like, you feel involved in.
Mm-hmm.
And you're really like, you want to know how it's going to fucking end. There are some things at first I thought was like, this is so like. So the whole premise, 2 astronauts, Soviet, it's during this, like the height of the Soviet. It's like 81, isn't it?
Yeah,
81,
real
83
close to
or
that.
something like that.
83. Yep.
The height of the fucking Soviet Union, dude. And these 2 astronauts that are in space, they're just doing regular space shit, you know, cosmonauts, not astronauts, cosmonauts. But they're doing regular stuff. They go up with 2, they come back down with 3.
They do.
They come down with a straggler, a hitchhiker, and that's pretty much the whole premise. One of them consumes an alien. And the alien is like feeding off of not parasitic, but a symbiont. So if one dies, the other one dies.
Yep.
That's pretty much the entire premise.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out. But I thought it was so dumb at the start. I'm like, why would they hire a psychiatrist for this? Does it make any sense that they would hire, like, they already know this alien is coming out at night. And it's I'm like, there's so many other doctors, biologists. But then the writing is so good, you start to learn that, this thing it feeds off emotion, so you would want a psychiatrist.
Of course.
Because at first I thought, that was so stupid. Like, what are they running out of scientists in Russia?
Yeah.
But then it's later, the writing, you really couldn't poke a lot of holes in it.
Right, and I think that was cleverly put in there, too. Maybe to even throw you off the scent. And maybe initially as the audience to ask those questions.
Yeah.
And be like, what the fuck? How do you not see this
she's in
giant
over her
plot
head.
hole? Yeah. And then when you come to learn more that the alien's feeds into like emotion and stuff, and as you said, symbiotic, you know, approach to it, it really was a very, very well put together story.
Yeah, there was never those moments where it's so often in sci-fi and even sci-fi horror where something is just stupid and it's like, and it kind of takes you out of it and you're like, why would you do that? Yeah. But there really isn't ever that moment in this film, at least for I thought, which is, it's hard to say for a sci-fi film. Yeah. Because sci-fi, you know, you really got to take, you kind of got to disconnect your logical brain with sci-fi because it's so much shit that we know. But I loved how they knew so much about the alien already. And it wasn't like they were just having to figure out. They knew immediately. It was so cool because and I didn't need to get into so much detail, but they got in just amount to where, like, it lives in the esophagus.
Yep.
It can
dilate to 30 centimeters and then come back up to a full grown.
Doesn't have
alien.
any ears.
Yep.
They knew so much about it. They had
It always
diagrams.
comes
I
out.
love that.
That's the biggest thing for me is like, obviously you could jump into the specifics of this alien and it could take you 20, 25 minutes of the film just to explain everything
And
that
it'd be
goes on.
science that we wouldn't even
And
care
we
about
wouldn't
or
care
know.
about anyway.
Yeah.
But no, what they do so brilliantly, as you had just brought up, is they show you in the diagrams, they show you like, you know, it'll literally show the body of the alien and then the body in the body, in his body. And then you're like, oh, I get it. I understand how this alien works, this parasitic type of symbiotic alien and how it operates.
Yes, it was protecting its ass on all those things where you could poke holes. And that's such a simple. What was that? A 3-minute scene where she's going through.
Maybe 3 minutes.
But it made so much sense because there's so many times in these sci-fi films where it's like they know nothing about the alien and they're already sending people in to poke and prod at it, and they know nothing about it. they knew a shit ton about it, so they felt like they could send someone in at this point.
Yes.
But normally it's like, why would you be sending people in when you know so little? But they knew a lot, and I love that. It was a 2-minute throwaway scene, but it added to the film that they knew so much. And it was cool learning about this alien and how every kind of director or film has their own take on what this alien is.
Yep.
But it was a cool fucking alien, dude. An Alien has been done so many times that it's hard to do a unique alien.
It definitely
But
is.
this thing, man, it looked cool when that first scene when it's like the thermo cam or whatever. It's their first, and he like flies out of bed. It was so cool. He was like, they did like, he was on like a rope or something, obviously. Especially.
Yeah.
But he flies like 30 feet out of his
Gets
bed.
on all four. And
his
and
body
almost in that position, too,
possessed,
it's almost like a primal, like
Yeah.
all four. I like that. And then you're right. And it just turned. And then the alien slowly comes out of his mouth, but it was so believable, and it looked
because it's so tiny at first.
Yeah, it's super tiny, man. And then it
And
just
it's got this
grows.
weird, like, thin membrane around it that, like, an egg, and it grows, and then it has hands. At first, I thought it was going to become a full fucking human.
Yeah. Well, because it was like coming up like it was with its hands.
But no, I liked it. I liked the design a lot, which
the
is
design
something
was
I
awesome.
usually always complain about. But I liked the design. It was practical, but still scary, you know. And it still felt like it was like this alien was so advanced that we couldn't even fathom what it wanted.
Yeah, and to go back to the science behind it, like even the amnesia was explained well.
Oh yeah.
You know, where this guy was kind of losing his mind. He didn't know what was going on. And then you come to find out later on that the alien had a lot to do with that.
Well, and that he was kind of lying about all of it.
Of course he was.
I like that big reveal
That was a
as
good
well.
twist,
Yeah.
too. Yes.
To where we got to, I mean, we're kind of getting spoiler territory, but we got to the scene when they find out that they're not feeding it just nutrients.
Yeah.
And it's
Or just like pigs or whatever is what they initially said.
yeah, they're like, we tried to feed it everything. Chickens, pigs. We ran out of animals. He's like, eventually, prisoners. Prisoners
is the way to do it. And if anyone's going to do it, it's Soviet Union, Russia.
Oh, absolutely, man. And it's so perfect because, I mean, of course they're doing it right because they're Russians.
Yeah.
So of course but everything looks so very Soviet, you know.
It does.
Soviet has such a particular architecture to it. Everything's very square and, you know, utilitarian. It's just for practicality, you know. Nothing is supposed to look good.
Yeah, nothing flashy or anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be just for use, and it's supposed to last, you know, 8,000 years for how long the Soviet Union was supposed to last.
Right.
Turns out, didn't last
Didn't
that
last
long.
that long.
But yeah, it just looks, you know, it looks so good. You know, they do a very good job. The only compare I can do is Chernobyl, the TV show, which was an American shoot, but they do a very good job of that Soviet look. But yeah, you get a feel for it. And the commander, you know, the main bad guy, he was very, although, you know, he wasn't just one dimensional.
Not at all.
But he had layers to him. But he was very Soviet commander-esque.
And yeah, he was. But at first, I love this because it is really the character arc of the bad guy. And I wish I knew his name. But to start out, you know, he says, I'm not like other people in the Soviet Union. You know, you're not going to take orders from me. You come at your own free will. If you want to work, if you want to find out, if you don't like it, we'll send you back.
You're right. This is not Soviet Union at all.
No, it's not. But what I liked about that was later on, we really saw his true intentions and his true motives is the fact, because it's so stereotypical. He wanted to weaponize but you never saw that coming because he was so, he did it so well throughout the film.
It was that's so cliche that this guy only, but you, like you said, you don't realize it until like the very end. Oh my God, he is just actually this very.
Yep.
So that's very smart.
I love that reveal.
You know?
Yeah.
Because
he
could have been
that.
Just one-sided, you know, just the bad guy who just doesn't care about this alien or the astronauts or anything.
Yeah.
At first, you kind of feel like he actually does care for these cosmonauts.
Yes, you figured he was going to be her helper throughout the whole time.
Yeah,
and really try to get
that
down
really
to the bottom
throws
of it.
you off when you see that because it threw me off. I'm like, this guy's not what I thought he was going to be.
Yep.
And even at the end, you know, even till the very end, you kind of felt like he was still struggling with what he had to do, you know, because he knew that if he didn't do what he needed to do, that they would just kill him and send someone else in. Soviet Russia,
Of course.
There's always another guy.
They kind of talked about that too, how they just kill and move on.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, yeah, but I liked it. But we kind of got away from it. But that first scene where they figure out that that prisoners are being fed is brutal because they keep going to this like thermal. But when he gets on the guy and just pops his head off,
yeah, like,
and then you find out that it's not feeding off them; it's feeding off their
cortisol.
fear, like Pennywise. Yeah. So when it comes out, it makes a big dramatic appearance, and it makes you see that it's an alien. Yep. So you go crazy.
And it feeds off the cortisol.
But how they figure that out is very smart with her bringing up his son. You know, is that his son that he needed to get a reaction out of him to test his hormone levels.
But again, she didn't understand what she was doing in that moment either, because that was
absolutely,
before.
Yeah, she was unraveling.
So it's brilliant writing there.
Even though that they already knew everything.
They already knew, but she didn't. And again, that's where the writing was like so just really fine tuned.
Yeah, really clean and just clean cut and everything. Especially, and that kind of goes back to the science that they talk about, is that the fact that they showed her everything, you got the sense that they told her everything. But no, you gotta know it's Soviet Russia. Of
course,
it's built on secrets.
They tell you
secrets and
enough, but they don't tell you everything.
There's always someone that knows more than what you know. Even the commander of that base, there's something that he didn't know as well that someone else was not telling him. But
there's one thing I wanted to bring up since the start of this review, and this was one of the most things I enjoyed about this film. I don't know about you, and I don't know if you've written this down or you thought about it, but I thought the score for this film was phenomenal. Yes. I thought they used it perfectly, and there were times where the music would be so low and so eerie that I didn't even know if music was on or if I was just like hearing it myself. You know, I mean, those slow, tense moments where it would just be like,
it was good,
and as during as a very intense scene is going down, or even the interviews. And then what was brilliant about it is they would go 10 minutes without a single noise while they're doing interviews, and then you get this feeling of emptiness when she's interviewing him because there's no ambient noises, there's nothing going on except this conversation. But then boom, they'd add that music in again. I just thought the score and the way they edited that was awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing to me, is even the score felt very Soviet.
Yes.
Like very practical. Like we're only going to give it to you when it needs to be, and we're not going to
saturate it.
Exactly.
You know?
We're just going to give you exactly enough. And we talk about score, especially in horror, all the time, and how important it is.
It's so important. I think it might be one of the most important elements in horror.
Exactly. But even in especially in cosmic horror, it even becomes more important in scenes like this where it's where it's just the unknown. So you really got to promote and provoke that unknown. And that's what it does, especially with the absence of sound.
Yep.
Like when there's no sound at all, it's in a scene that we don't know what's about to happen.
Exactly.
So there's no, and that's
because
that's the thing that horror films do, is they reveal their hand a lot of the time
through the
by
score.
doing the violin pluck and all that. Yep. So you know something's coming. So I like when a film tips that on its head.
I completely agree with you. It's a perfect analysis.
But they did a wonderful job. Yeah. A wonderful job too. And by the end, like you said, it's not really a slow burn, but by the end things are really fucking heating up.
Oh, they're ramping up too. And they didn't overuse it either, because at first I was like, man, am I going to be disappointed with this ending, cuz the whole film was so awesome. And then up until the point I thought they were going to end it in kind of a cliche way. And I was like...
Well, I thought they were going to show a lot less than they did, where I thought it was going to be real indie and it was going to be
that's what I wanted.
Going to show... Exactly.
That's what I wanted, was that indie ending where it was very open-ended.
I was surprised by how much they showed at the end, but I was happy about it.
Exactly. And that's where they threw me off, because once they started showing me so much, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be satisfied with this ending. I almost wish it would have been open-ended. You know, we don't know exactly what happened with the alien. But the way that they wrapped it up, and the way they even wrapped up the character arc of the general and of the girl and of the cosmonaut who had the parasite in him, I thought was very fulfilling at the end.
Yeah, and it works so well because they used the alien so sparingly throughout the entire film.
Yes.
So by the end, I felt like you felt like you were really due for a big reveal or something like that. It would have worked either way, but I think that's why it works so well by showing so much at the end, because they showed it so sparingly throughout.
Yes.
But by the end of it, you're like, oh fuck yeah, dude! When she throws him that the vial that was gonna fake
Yes.
Addison's disease,
Uh-huh.
you knew shit was about to go hard.
Haywire, yeah, for sure.
When he sticks that in him and he just starts again the cough, you know those soldiers.
They were
Those
doomed.
poor fucking Soviet
Look,
soldiers.
they
How,
just were trying to serve their
how
time
many
and go
bodies
home.
do they go through?
Oh, God. It's just another day.
That's another Tuesday for you. Got to think that's happening at every Soviet base. They got
Everywhere.
some kind of weird experiment going on, and soldiers are dying by the thousands.
Well, they got billions of people.
They
so
do.
They
they
just
do.
keep them
Russian
cycling
blood.
through.
Russian blood, man. But yeah, I was impressed. I was impressed by the entire thing.
So was I. And the story was so airtight for me. Everything. Even like the little, I don't know what it's called, the spinning, like his little toy that he brought.
Yeah.
Like they used
His
it in the first
familiar
act.
or whatever,
Yeah, his
yeah.
familiar, the second act. But the way they revealed that with her just noticing the alien seeing that toy and then bringing
Yeah,
it
it was
in
so
and it
good,
wraps
yeah.
around it. And I was just like, this
And
is
how this
perfect.
alien wasn't just this killing machine.
No.
It was
It
almost
wasn't
like
like an evil, yeah.
it was like cat-like when it played with the toy and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, and it was this kind of poetic sense of this cosmonaut abandoned his son, but now he came back with another son
Exactly.
against
Yeah.
his will. So it was kind of poetic that
It was.
that he ended up leaving his son for this big hero's journey, but he ended up getting his son anyway.
Well, and psychologically too. I mean, he had found out about his son a week prior to going up to space, but you had worked all your whole life
and it's Soviet Russia.
to
You
do
don't
that.
get the chance
No,
to
you
fuck.
don't. No, to serve your
If you
country
get off
like
the
that either.
farm,
You're lucky. Yeah,
you're very happy in
if you're
Soviet
getting
Russia.
fed well at that time.
Yeah,
you're lucky.
exactly. And he even talks about it. I like that they even got into like my mom. He's like, she's living alone. I have to come back. He's like, I have to survive.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool how they made him like superhuman too when it was in him.
Yes.
He could do like a lot of push-ups.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
it's like,
And
I
he
can keep going.
regenerated
I
very
can keep
fast.
going. Well, because he
he was
literally
feeding off the
crash
cortisol.
landed, and the guy that he was with was destroyed. But he had
His spine was sticking out of his back, man.
but he was able to heal with the symbiote in days.
Yep.
So they knew that it would be a powerful. I don't know how they ended up thinking they were going to use it as a weapon, but they knew it was very powerful.
Yes, it was. I forget her name in this. I wish I could remember. The Tatiana, is that what it was?
Yeah, Tatiana was the main girl, of
Okay.
course.
I loved, and this was another thing that just completely threw me for a loop. I did not see it coming. The whole time, I thought the cosmonaut's son was in the orphanage throughout this entire
Yeah.
film, and then it is revealed at the end that it was
I know, it's
Tatiana.
just twist on twist.
Yeah, and she goes, "I'm not a boy, I'm Tatiana," and you're like, "That sounds like a girl name."
Yeah, I'm like, why? I know, I was
What?
confused. I'm like, why?
Why did
this
you
kid
even
is,
say that?
This kid's confused.
Yeah, I was saying clearly.
Like, how are
like-
they raising these kids? I mean, they're very. But yeah, I like that too. And she was the orphan.
She was the orphan, the troubled orphan
Big
the
reveal.
entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know, man. That was kind of like the cherry on top to this story, where I was like, wow, they even tied that in.
Yeah,
really
I don't
well.
think you needed it.
No, nor do I. But
it didn't feel like it was just tacked on. It felt like it was there the entire time. Which
yeah,
is nice.
and I felt like there was a purpose to it, because at the end
Exactly,
she did
yeah.
go and adopt him, because obviously the father died.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like it was
Sacrificed
just like let's add this in just so people know that the orphan is okay.
Right.
Like, and we don't need
Yeah,
that.
tacked on for no reason.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay,
But
I could have lived
it
without
gave
it.
her enough reason to go and adopt the orphan because she was also an orphan.
Yeah,
So
it
I
gave her more
liked it.
context to who she was too.
Exactly,
Which
yeah.
was, again, I was
Put a nice little bow on it.
Yeah, I did. A nice little bow on it. And I was just overall, Cash, so impressed with this film.
So was I.
From
I-
start to finish.
and I'm
It
so
might be
glad-
one of my favorite films so far this year.
I know. I'm right there
Honestly.
with you. I'm so glad that I knew nothing about this film. I thought the entire thing took place in space.
Oh,
So
really?
going into it, I knew. Yeah, because you saw the trailer, but I don't know if I did, but I knew nothing. I knew nothing about it, and I love going into a film and not knowing anything, and then being kind of blown away and pleasantly surprised, because I was. And I rented this film, but it is worth
As
the
did
rent.
I. It is worth the $7.
I'm sure it will go on to Amazon, but Russia, man, good job.
Very good job.
You know, two good things they're good at: hacking elections,
Right?
and making sci-fi horror films.
And that's the thing too. This is one of our favorite genres, and I feel like for us, it's really hard to please us and really make it really like satisfy us with everything. And we can kind of nitpick and stuff, but with this one overall, like just
we are nitpicky,
Yeah.
and we really will poke holes if there is. But and especially for horror films where it's so rare do you see a good one, and sci-fi so rarely do you see a good one, and
I
then
think
to go on it too and then
because-
hit it out of the park.
Yeah. I think
Very
because it is
satisfying.
very easy to be lazy with a film like this because you can get away
yeah.
with more.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
they answered every question that you had as an audience. And for that, my hat's off to them.
I loved it.
Yep.
I'd recommend it.
As would I. Highly recommend it. This might be one of my favorite films of this year.
It
So far,
might
as far
make
as
it on a couple
2020.
top 10s at that.
I as of right now, this sits on my top 10.
Yeah, and it's not one that I felt I'm just giving a good review because there's nothing coming out. This film, if this film came out
was
last year in the
genuinely good.
height of everything, it would still be on my top.
Yes.
Because again, you don't get a good sci-fi horror very often.
And it's very hard to do, and it's very hard to do right, where you feel
Especially when it's
satisfied
your
with
debut.
everything. Yeah, I think we
Most
just
impressive
touched
thing,
up
yeah.
on that, but that might be one of the most impressive
Igor.
things.
Good job, dude.
Igor, make another film, my guy. Abramenko. He doesn't
Yeah.
even have a wiki page. Man. Like, this guy has nothing on him.
Well, he might have been too critical about Russia, and maybe he got thrown
got
in the
axed?
gulag.
Oh, shit.
So
Probably.
he was a little critical
He
about
was
it.
a little critical.
They don't like that.
They
in Russia.
don't like it. That's what I'm saying.
So he might have been. I hope he's doing okay. though.
So do I. He's got to be
He
making
sounds
more
like a tough
movies.
guy. You don't name a guy Igor and
He doesn't.
and
He's
not be a
you're not
hard ass.
soft if you're Igor, all right?
Well, no one from Russia is soft.
No one.
Even
Not
the
a soul.
softest guys are badasses.
They
over here.
are.
Yeah, all I can say is I would recommend it.
As would I. And I think we'll end it on that.
Absolutely, man.
Alrighty, well, that is our review for Sputnik, the 2020 Russian science fiction horror film directed by Igor Abramenko. If you guys like what you're seeing here, please be sure to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. If you're listening on audio format, want to find our podcast, you can find it on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. Check out our social media pages, Twitter, Seen It Podcast, Cash is on Twitter, that's just Cash, Instagram, Have You Seen It, Facebook, Have You Seen It Podcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.